everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome. I'm running a little late because I had some actual work to do with my day job today that I was doing, which is, well, I mean, it's not ideal to have to work on a Sunday, but it is what it is. I get paid a lot, so. Anyway, today I want to talk about, so last week I talked about the membership stuff that I've rearranged on all my materials and stuff. I'm still working on organizing all that. I want to make an announcement. Yeah, not that. This, I want to get rid of that and then turn this on real quick. All right, so that is my Zeus as a child image. Totally had AI do that for me. Sorry, but I did. Anyway, actually, you know what? I'm not going to be doing that anymore. So I apologize for doing that. I won't be doing that anymore. I'm going to try to get a different image. But anyway, I want to start this Rebel Orphan thing, right? And I want us to do the Zeus cult thing, right? All that stuff that I've got going on. Not that. What is that in there? What am I trying to find here? Earlier I was like, I am not stoned enough to do my show. Anyway, so yeah, so the Rebel Orphan stuff. So last week I talked about the layers and levels of memberships. The Rebel Orphan phase is based on, let's see, let me get this up over here. Move that over there and set up go to my actual page here. I haven't finished setting everything up yet. But if you go to my site, all right, here we go. All right, so if you go over to rufusopus.com, there is information out here on the different membership levels. If you go to Orphic Zeus Cult, and if you want to see more information about the layers over here on the right, the YouTube channel is going to be the platform for that. It's like Patreon, but it's YouTube. This is the link for it. You're still going to get all of my information for free. Okay, like all the stuff that I teach is for free. The Rebel Orphan stuff is for people who are more interested in doing a sort of like more personal one-on-one stuff. It's going to be more of my time, more of my attention, and actually it's not for the public. It's for private stuff. So it's going to be members only. It's $24.95 a month. It's less than what people were paying me for my time anyway. So so people were paying me for like consultations, and they would come to me and pay for an hour of my time or whatever, and I would help them with stuff and analyze their situation and all that stuff. But an Ask Me Anything would also be who do we appeal to for some bud? Having technical difficulties getting smoke. That would be Shiva, Om Shiva, Om Namah Shivaya Om. That's Om Namah Shivaya Hum? Anything, something like that. But yeah, Shiva is the god of pot. So if you want to get stoned, talk to him. He's a good god for that kind of thing. And when you take your hits, you say Bong Shankar, and it means thank you, Shiva, for your wonderful pot. There's a whole phrase in some Hindi language from India that I do not speak that means basically thank you, thanks unto Shiva for creating pot or ganja or whatever. And it's anyway, good god to know. Ganesha is a opener of ways. Om Gam Ganam Pataye Namaha. Where's my weed? Om Gam Ganam Pataye Namaha. Sorry, I could do this all day. Yes. Anyway, where was I? The Ropocalypse. Okay, so yeah. So the Rebel Orphan phase is going to be basically about what magic is, doing the great work, magical powers, class structure. So this intro class is what I wanted to announce. On the 20th of September, I'm going to have this class We're going to go over what it means to be a part of the Rebel Orphan group, and what to expect when you're expecting, how to get to the materials that I provide. If we do group initiations, we'll be doing group initiations and stuff like that. The hypnosis videos, if you want access to hypnosis videos, that's the way to go for those. I was charging like $50 each for the hypnosis videos, because I think you can do these initiations on your own, and if you want my help, then I will happily charge you for it, because it's optional, but the way I had it set up, if you bought one, you basically got access to all of them. So I figured $25 a month for ongoing access to the hypnosis things is worth it. So how to use those, what to expect, that whole thing. There's a class that's going to be happening on the 20th. It's going to be your intro, how to use the materials, what order you should be watching the videos in. I'm doing the daily mantra for the cult thing every morning at around 8 a.m., roughly 8 a.m., sometimes later than that. You don't have to attend to be live. You can watch it whenever you want if you want to be participating in that. The goal of this is to connect to the divine and to put yourself in the mindset of being a part of the chain of manifestation. Every day when I do the mantra, before I do it, I talk about the day that we're on, the planetary day, what its powers are, different aspects that I'm working on with that. Whether it's a waxing or a waning moon, I like to mention that just to sort of keep us in tune with what's going on with the universe at large. That's not a lot, but it's basically all I pay attention to myself. So those kind of things. If there's any major astrological weather, I might mention it. Or if there's something that's on my mind that I want to talk about, I will chat a bit before I do the mantra. So anyway, mornings at 8 a.m. If you want to just hear what I have to say about things, you can tune in the beginning and drop off when I start the mantra. It can get long. But anyway, it's fun for me to do, so I'm enjoying it. Anyway, that's the mantra part of the cult. The mantra, we just do it every day because that's what I believe, and based on my experiences with it, it connects you to the divine. Putting yourself in that chain of manifestation consciously helps you vibe with that, and then that helps you attain a direct conscious experience with the source of everything, right? And that's the goal. It does work for me. I hope it works for everybody else. I wouldn't be teaching it if I didn't think it was effective. When you can maintain that or tap into that level of conscious awareness of the divine on a regular basis, it's not like everything gets perfect all of a sudden overnight, but it does help everything get better faster. Something about being able to put your awareness above and slightly behind your head, and I say that all the time. It's a simple hypnosis technique. You put yourself into a little mote consciousness and you move yourself around your body. You relax all your body and you relax all the parts of your body, and then that little mote consciousness that's going through all parts of your body as you're relaxing, you put that up and behind your head. You see it floating up through your body and then up through the top of your head and then back and behind and settling down slightly behind the back of your head. And you look at yourself through yourself, right? From that perspective. And it's a technique, it's a mental trick, it's a way of disassociating from your personality and your perceived idea of yourself. And when you do that, it releases a lot of the expectations. And if you go back into that part and you're like anxious and excited and looking at things, you're not back in that part, right? It's very quiet, it's still, it's observational, it's the field of awareness in which our personality has arisen. And there's something similar I do with my heart chakra. Like if you picture the heart chakra, you put your head above and behind that and kind of harmonize the two, you end up with a way of avoiding the path of lightning, because your head and your heart are one, when you get those things vibrating together. Anyway, that's what the mantra is for. That's what the daily chant stuff is at 8 a.m. It's helpful, but it's not, I'm not going to tell people what to do with their lives. So find your own way to connect to the divine. The reason we do that is because the Corpus Hermeticum says the pious person draws the Pymander close to them. The Pymander is the shepherd of men. It is Pymander. It is the Logos, the Word of God. It is the holy word that brought order and structure to the universe, right? It's basically the communicatable with version of God. So in the Corpus Hermeticum, it says if you pursue your source and your connection, your piety, I see this as an act of piety. If you do that, then the Pymander is close to you, and you get to hear the word of God spoken to you. And what good is that? You know, we'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to talk about why we do magic here in a little bit, and there's different reasons for different people. To get chicks, exactly. Yes, exactly. Hi, it's good to see you. Anyway, where were we? Yes. So anyway, the stuff over here, please join up. It's fun. I'm going to have fun with it. The class is the 20th. If you don't want to join up for the cult, if you don't want to be a paying member of the monthly thing every day, because honestly, I hate subscriptions. I get screwed out of a lot of money, and I know that that's what it's designed for. That's the way YouTube is set up. You know, I wish. I don't know. I don't know of a better way to do all this. I could just charge per session, I suppose, but it's hard. But I am actually going to be charging for this. If you don't want to join the group, if you don't want to subscribe to the thing, I'm going to set up a product on my website over here. You go to available courses. I'll add it under advanced options. I haven't put it there yet. It'll just be the what do I call it? Rebel Orphan classes or whatever. Anyway, it'll be special. I think I'll call it something like the YouTube channel special session, because they're all going to be $25. And if you want to join me on my monthly thing, you can pay $25, or you can join the group. It's free if you're in the group. Membership has its privileges, but otherwise it'll be that. Yes, a dude will do for Virgo. Yes, great. See, magic is important. And somebody else wants to be so rich, I'd bankrupt Switzerland in one shopping trip. Right? So that's a lot of the main reasons a lot of people get into magic. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to get to that. All right. Anyway, I'm going to be doing that on the 20th. Please sign up. If you want to pay for it, it's $25. If you want, you can either pay for it and join the membership, and you get a coupon code that will get you the course for free, and then you'll get the Zoom link, and then the Zoom link will take you to the meeting. Either way, or you can just show up. I think the YouTube channel does a private broadcast on its own. Like, you can just go to YouTube and watch me if you're a member. So anyway, all right, so that's how that's going to work. It'll be either I'll broadcast it live on Zoom for people who are not members, but anyway, it's still $25. So, all right, that's that. So, but now for where's my segue? I don't have a good segue. Let me just turn this off. Okay, so that's the Zeus cult stuff, right? So Zeus cult stuff. Why are we doing Zeus cult stuff? Why do I think Zeus cult stuff is important? You know, the divine Pymander thing is part of it. Corpus Hermeticum teaches that we are spirits descended here in the material world. We were given a portion of the 7 planetary powers. We're here to create the universe. We have a bad time because we forgot about that. As we go through our initiations, we restore those powers to ourselves, where we reclaim our divine birthright. We remember that we are of the gods ourselves, so that the Zeus, the middle, as it were, that emanates as all the spirits that create Zeus, the all in all, the experienced world. All those spirits include human beings. If you look at the 10 spheres of the Tree of Life in Kabbalistic stuff in the Golden Dawn, with all of their columns and correlations and correspondences, you'll find that there are the spirits, and if not just there, Dionysius the Areopagite, right? Dionysius the Areopagite has the choirs of the spirits, and the spirits of here, let me just go to. See, I always worry that you people think I'm like making this shit up. I don't make this shit up. I make up a lot of shit, but it's mostly my interpretation of stuff. It's all based on real life stuff, though. I didn't write this stuff. Okay, so this is esotericarchives.com. Oh, it was. There it goes. Okay. I'm going to go to, what did I want to go to? Dionysius the Areopagite. So, where was that? Miscellaneous? Oh, here it is. Mystical Theology and the Celestial Hierarchies. So, Dionysius the Areopagite, he talks about how... Oh, I see what's going on here. What is going on here? I need to see... I don't see what's going on here. Whatever. Fuck it. There we go. Okay. So, there. The celestial hierarchies. So in each of the spheres, like each of the spheres of God, there's hierarchies of angels, the angelic choirs, right? And it's not just in the Golden Dawn, but in the Golden Dawn, it talks about how in each of the spheres you get a different choir of angels. You know, they put a big emphasis on this in ceremonial magic. When you get to like this thing that Dionysius the Areopagite wrote, he's a interesting Neoplatonist that became a Christian eventually, but it gives us a lot of good information for understanding occult hierarchies of things. These are the ideas that were fueling the 16th century occultists that ended up fueling what we learned here more recently in the 20th and 21st century from our cloudy sources. Anyway, it's always worth going back to the sources. But when you get to the actual choirs of the spirits, where does it talk about it? It talks about the Isham, dead spirits. Dang it. I can't find it. Nothing is ever easy. But anyway, basically it talks about how the spirits of the earth are human beings. Here it is, the angels. All right. Angels. So angels are assigned to... Anyway, I can't find it now. Of course I can't find it. Fucking... I promise I'm not making this up, even though I can't prove it. Man, anyway, the Isham, the mighty dead are the spirits or the angelic choir that are of the earth. And it's, I thought it was in here, it's the powerful dead. Of the angels and of their last hierarchy. Dun, 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 dun. I'm sorry, I can't find it now. Anyway, human beings. The saints are basically the choir of human beings. So human beings are in the choir of spirits, in the celestial hierarchy of spirits. It goes back to all the things. I'm not making it up, even though how embarrassing. Anyway, so we're part of the whole process. But when you reclaim your place in this chain of manifestation as the speaking point of speaking things into being, you know, that's like the point of Hermetics, right? That's why I do all this stuff. But it's not. So that's not why everybody does magic, right? A couple weeks ago, somebody said something about they were tired of people bringing something about how they didn't think that doing shadow work should be part of doing magic. And it was someone who had just started following me on Facebook and had interacted a couple times on comments and stuff. And I had posted my video, and then all of a sudden he posted something about how really tired of people talking about magic and shadow work, you know. And you know, it's like and that's been the focus of like most of my shows lately, is like how you do these initiations to get clean, and the purpose of clarity and all this stuff, and vibing and harmonizing yourself with the universe, and the value of initiation, you know. And it's not because I'm trying to sell shit, it's because I really do think it's important, you know. And to me, it's what it's what revealed to me the true potential of the occult, right? The occult powers that we have access to. If you look at the Orphic hymn to Jupiter, it talks about when you ask for what you want, it says health and necessary wealth. You know, but at the end of it, you ask for health and necessary wealth to experience the power of Jupiter. The power of Jupiter in your life is health and necessary wealth. Why do you need those things? It's not so you can be wealthy. It's necessary wealth. It's so you can be joyful, so you can experience a jubilant, jovial, Jupiterian experience of life. It's your health, your robust health, your ability to process and enjoy your experiences without being an invalid or being harmed by it. That's the goal of the Jupiter rites, you know. Necessary wealth. It's not to be wealthy for its own sake. It's to have the necessary wealth. You know, these are the mystical, these are the Orphic hymns, right? The Orphic hymns were sung to you in the mystery tradition during your initiation into the Orphic mystery tradition. So it's not magic, right? It's not magic. I incorporate the Orphic mysteries, or the hymns, as a statement of intent in my occult work. I started doing that when I was in the Gens for Jupiter because it turned out to be a great way to conjure the spirits. I adopted that methodology and it's turned into a thing that works really well. But because I incorporate the mystery poems into my magical work, I have a very mystery-laden approach to magic. And when I talk about magic, I talk about that aspect of it. But this other guy was upset because he's like, I just want to learn how to do, I just want to get money and chicks, right? Going back to what we were talking about here in our own chat room here earlier, you know. It's not, you don't come to magic just to as a spiritual path, right? It's not necessarily a spiritual path to everybody. It's so for some of us, we get drawn to it because we're just interested in it. You know, it's just neat. You watch Lord of the Rings and you're like, oh, cool, that's neat. I want to do fireballs. You know, you always play a wizard in D&D because that's just awesome. I want to do fireballs, right? I mean, you want this power that is not obvious. You know, the magician could be the scrawny old man or a skinny academic looking person, somebody who has to study a lot and read a lot of books, who's very intelligent and their mind is very fast, but they don't have a lot of physical skills, but they're just as valuable in a fight as everybody else because they have the power of magic, right? So a lot of people are drawn to magic because it gives them power that will, they think, make them just as valuable as everybody else on their D&D campaign, right? And our D&D is very much a great metaphor for our lives. You know, we're on a campaign. We incarnate, we go on an adventure, we die, we roll up a new character, we incarnate, we go on an adventure, we die. You know, the reason that they roll up your character chart, it's based on your natal chart. You guys, it's based on the idea that all these qualities can be found about a person's identity on a single piece of paper. You know, that's where these ideas for these games came from. They came from the natal chart. That's all it is. It's your fantasy character's blueprint. And if you look at your natal chart as if it were your character sheet, it gives you a great way to understand how your character is going to level up in this particular incarnation. You know, it tells you what career path you're on. It tells you what race you are, what your powers and your struggles are, right? It's all right there in your natal chart. They spent 10,000, 18,000 years looking at the stars and comparing it to their lives to figure this shit out. Use it. Use that information. It's not scientific. It's not reproducible. It's a framework for your mind to process your experience. And it's weirdly synchronistic with what actually happens. Why? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe because we're all connected and everything above is a reflection of everything below. Maybe our mottos and our things that we say in our little mystery tradition mean something. You know, maybe that's how it all works. But anyway, there's plenty of evidence for using that as a technique. And eventually I do want to include like a ritual that I'm putting it together now. It's a ritual that's based on your natal chart, and it's designed to help you harmonize and balance all the forces that you are with so that you can find harmony. So that's my thing, is the harmony. And the spiritual thing, like I turn to the Corpus Hermeticum, because Hermetic magic is like, it's based on Hermetics, but the mystery tradition is, for me, it's soteriology. It's my salvation. It's the transformation of my negative experiences into my positive ones so that I have a good time. My religion, my faith is that we all manifested to have an experience and then die. That's what happens, and I think what happens is what is supposed to happen. I trust that. That's my first state. A priori assumption is, if you're born and then you die, that's what you got to work with. Start with the truth. What is real? The reality is you're born and you die. That's what you get. You've got all these thoughts and feelings and ideas and genetics and parents and all this other crap. Politics, background radiation, cosmic rays, the seas are rising, volcanoes are going off. You got all that stuff going on, those are variables. Could be anything on any given day. But, you're born, you die. That's the point. Within that time frame, you got stuff that happens. I'm getting up there in years now, and I look back on things and I can see the patterns and I see how it all works. I've been initiated and I've been through processes. I've come to vibe with things that I didn't used to vibe with. I've gone through stuff and I've had experiences and I understand things better, and I look back on things and it's a big symphony of stuff. But the reason magic works is because it's all connected. It's a symbol, it's a word, it's an idea. When we do a ritual, we have the name of a spirit or a god that represents a quality we're going to call into being. We have their symbol that's like a key to visually identifying them. It's like their signature. We have their name, and those three things are what we use to conjure a spirit. And that's from all the grimoires. That's from Trithemius. It's from every grimoire that has a circle and a seal and a spirit name. Anyway, it's just how it works. A name, a symbol, and the qualities. Those are what we get when we get a spirit book of spirits. Yeah. So I mean. I feel like this is all just based on what is pretty obvious and aware, or what we can all kind of see. We see how these processes work. But for me, the mystical aspect of it is powerful to your magic because it gives you a sense of identity and a justification for your magic to work, right? So a lot of people, if you look at the grimoires, to be a magician, it looks like you have to be a priest, or you have to be a fallen priest, or if they're written in Catholic places, you have to have Catholic access to Catholic priest stuff, and if they're written in Protestant places, you have to have access to Protestant priest stuff. So it looks like a lot of it has to be priestly. So if you're not a priest, maybe you can't do it. So maybe that's there. But also, can you be a practicing priest and still do magic? There's all these things about that. Today we've got the Cyprianic tradition that is, if I understand it right, I don't really know much about it, but it's like this weird Christian version of doing magic, that somehow adopts Lucifer as Jesus or something. I don't know. I think I get all confused. I'm not big on all that stuff. I think it's a complicated mess. But God, I forgot where I was going with that too. But anyway, let me refocus here. The thing is whether we're doing this for personal transformation or we're doing it for a sense of power, like we want to have be just as good as the barbarians. You know, if you grew up in America in the 1990s like I did, there were jocks and there were nerds. You know, that was kind of a big deal. I'm sure that continues to happen in some iteration everywhere. And magic gave people a way to have power that wasn't necessarily coming from their muscles, right? So that's another big appeal for magic, I think. A lot of times when I do magic, it's not because I don't have the physical power to do it. It's because I don't want to do the physical things that go along with it, right? So like I want to have the results of having a PhD without having to go through college and getting a PhD, doing the experiments and the observations and the writing and the writing and the writing and the writing and the writing. I don't want to do all that, but I would love to make $300,000 a year for my perceived expertise. So how would I be able to do that? Well, not with my good looks, I tell you that. So you gotta do magic for that, right? So you do the magic, and how it manifests it's a very interesting thing. It teaches you a lot about things and how it all works. So yeah, magic it's appealing to people who are lazy like myself, or who don't have the means to accomplish what they need, right? So you want a thing, you have a desire, and you have a set of resources, and there's no path from where you are to the experience of that desire outside of magic that is readily attainable or easy, or that you're qualified for, right? So like I did a magic ritual because I wanted to be super rich. I wanted to make $300,000 a year as a AI prompt engineer, right? So I did the magic for it, and I immediately got put on a path to getting that, and I hated it. I hated it, and I quit. Well, first of all, I missed the first opportunity where I had an interview for the position, right? And honestly, I wasn't qualified at that point. And then I got another position that paved the way for me to get there, and I hated the situation because I'd missed the original opportunity. The second best one that I grabbed just wasn't good enough, and then I had to reset for a while. I did not want to continue pursuing that, but I'd already done the magic for that. Right? So it's funny how I'm still getting caught up in the swirls around that. I'm currently back on the track to be making that kind of money again with a much harder path, I think, than I expected it to be. But I found out the other day I have a title that basically ensures that I'm going to be making X times 5 going forward in my career, because I landed this title, and it's a fluke. It's not something that I wasn't hired to be at this level in the company, but because of who I report to, that's my official title. And from now on, when I write my resume, it's going to look like I did a set of work, because that's the way it works. And I'm leaving this job with all the skills I'm going to need, and my job is probably going to last a few years if it doesn't go permanent. If I leave this job, I'll be leaving it with a title and the experience I need to back that title up. They basically are creating an entire department to train people in doing all this stuff and doing the things that it has to be as the new technologies emerge around AI. I'm on the ground floor, and I'm not even on the ground floor. I'm sort of pretty high up in the building, to be honest. But yeah, the magic is still working, So it's like, but the thing is, you don't always know what you want, right? So you have these desires and you want it, and magic is a path to getting that, and it's a path to getting what you want. And whether The other thing is desperation, right? Like, how many of us have turned magic in desperation? Like, I tell the story of how my house caught on fire because I did a Bune ritual, and I said I needed the money by any means necessary, as fast as possible, as long as nobody gets hurt. And I was so angry and upset when I did the ritual. My emotions, I think, fueled that experience by quite a lot. The more emotional I am in the moment when I do the rituals, I've noticed the more powerful the results are. So actually, I've incorporated that into my current work. When I do the rituals, I speak from my heart. I don't just speak from my head and by the script. I take a moment to tell the spirits emotionally how I feel about it. You know, I experience that emotion. I put it into my words, and I've noticed a very visible, measurable change in my effects, you know. And maybe it's just because I'm enjoying my life, because I'm being more dramatic in the moment as I say the magical words and call upon the spirits. Maybe it's that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just having more fun. But it sure seems like things are working out in a much more enjoyable way for me. Let's see. Yeah. So, chicks and money. You know, getting laid and getting paid, whether it's not chicks, guys. You know, if you're into guys, getting laid, right? So biologically, that's a huge drive for us human beings. It's, you know, if you're a woman and you have a monthly menstrual cycle or whatever, if you identify as whatever, if you have a monthly menstrual cycle and you're having to menstruate, you know, you understand in a very visceral way what the biology of procreation is about. You know, it's about, you know, you've got a week of desiring sex and a week of not wanting sex if you didn't get pregnant. You know, it's like, and then a week of suffering and the emotions that come from the hormones around all that stuff. You know, it's a thing, right? And guys, if you're married, you get to experience that too. And you have your own hormone cycle, guys. We are blessed with our own very similar, I think it's a 5-phase cycle it's its own nightmare of existence. But there's a reason that you are the way you are. If you ever wonder, it's worth studying your biology. But yeah, procreation is a major part of our biological drive. And if you look at the Greek stuff, Aphrodite Ouranos, Aphrodite of the sky, after the sky god had his phallus cut off, it fell into the sea, and Aphrodite rose from the foam. In some traditions, she became the demiurge that took sky's place, and she was worshipped as the source of all, in the same way that I talk about Zeus being the source of all. Aphrodite was the source of all to another group of mystery tradition initiates. Again, the key is piety, and that draws the Pymander close, which is the presence of the intellectual experience of God, right? Vocally, verbally, not just hearing voices, but like being able to talk about things, you know, with the source. Let's see, Claudia says, all rituals I did since 3 years ago never manifested anything. Did Shim, Angel, Planetary, Chaos Magic, Elemental Fire Magic. No results. And I'm just asking to get rid of an abusive man. Yes, and I'm also doing actions in reality. Okay, they say the lust for results block results. Yeah, okay, all right. If you want to talk about practical magic, we can talk about practical magic real quick. The reason, I think, and take it with a grain of salt, I could be wrong. I am opinionated. My opinions come from my experiences, and my experiences came from my choices. So I have a set of things that I take seriously about this stuff. And if it doesn't apply to you, I will just apologize in advance. I don't resonate with everybody from where they're coming from. All right. So I don't believe that your magic didn't work. I believe you haven't gotten what you asked for, or what you did the magic for. You haven't seen the results. Okay, but the magic that you did is doing something. I believe that. I don't think you're either you're not accepting the results as they come in, and this is what the importance of shadow work is about, or you are being dominated. Your magic isn't strong enough to overcome the other forces that are in your life. That could be fate. It could be your destiny. It could be your natal chart. It could be other people doing magic on you, right? It could be a lot of things. Okay. If you've been doing the same magic for 3 years to get away from one person or to get rid of one person from your life, I'm assuming you can't just leave. I don't know what your situation is. That's the thing, though, is you can just leave and go and disappear. People do it. It's dangerous, and it's not safe, and it's the worst case scenario. I'm not suggesting you do that. I'm reminding you that you have that choice. Okay, there's always a way out of everything, all right? And you haven't done everything that you could do because it's not what you really want. It would lead to worse things, a worse situation than what you're experiencing. So, knowing that you aren't choosing to do the most extreme thing and that you are choosing to do that. So this is how I've been, right? I've been in bad situations and I've chosen, I've not just left. Like, I was with an ex for 7 years and I was miserable for about 5 of those. I was with another ex for 12 years and I was miserable for about 9 of those. Okay. I stayed with my partners because it seemed to me like it was a better choice. All right. And it's not, oh, okay, you're in a foreign country and that's something else. All right. So that's something else. Oh, okay. All right. If you're in another country, this is just, the only advice I can give you that's actually going to be any useful to you, if you're not in the same culture, all my shit's just stupid, honestly. Doesn't apply. Doesn't apply to your framework. The end of the day is all you have at your as options are Saturn, Mars, and the Sun. Okay, Saturn to end it, Mars to protect you and defend you, and the Sun to transform it. Okay, and it's got to be stopping and ending the problem, right? And that's Saturn ritual on a Saturday with Cassiel and the 4 spirits of the talismans, and then you can also include the spirits of Mars on your Saturday rite. So you do a Saturn and Mars rite combined, and you just ask those spirits to end the situation and protect you from being drawn back into it. All right, and then you take the first opportunity that comes your way. Just hop on it and get the fuck out of Dodge. All right, and once you've done that, then you work on the transformation, the solar rite. So on a Saturday you do a Saturn Mars rite, and on a Sunday you do a transformation rite. Okay, and this transformation rite says, let all of this negativity that has been ceased from my life and that I'm being protected from now be transformed into my healing and my prosperity, right? So those are the things that you need to do to get out of it. And that's, if you've done it for 3 years and it hasn't worked, all I can tell you is just keep doing it. Just keep doing it, try something else. For me, it's Kronos, Cassiel, and the 4 spirits of the talismans, Aries, Samael, and the 4 spirits of the Mars talismans, and Helios, Michael, and the 4 spirits of the Sun talismans. Okay, and those are the spirits, right? Move this over real quick. This is probably what I should be talking about more often. Probably better at this than I am about all the other stuff. All right, so these are the spirits of the talismans, and this is from the Key of Solomon. So for Saturn, you do on the Saturday you do the Saturn rite with you say you do your conjuration or your adoration of the source. Like for my conjuration script, it starts with pray to God, recognize God. Basically, you create in your ritual space a representation of your understanding of your cosmology and how you're able to access the power of God, and then you call on the spirits by their names and their seals, right? So Orphikim to Saturn, Cassiel and Amaliel and Achiel, or Achia and Anasakia, and Mars you do Aries, the Orphikim to Aries, Samael, and then these 4 spirits, Medimiel, Bartzakia, Eskiel, and Ithuriel. So that's like 8, 10 spirits that are angelic and 2 gods, right? And all in all, it takes about 20 minutes to get through all that. It's not that hard. It doesn't take that long. You do that on a Saturday at dawn or in a Saturday on a Mars hour, and conjure those spirits, and you just ask them to stop the situation, describe the situation, name the names, present to them artifacts if you have artifacts. You light a candle and a stick of incense. Those are the key things to give them an offering of firing, and the smoke carries your prayers up to them, make sure they hear it. You mention their name and their seal, and it's all in my conjure class. If you go to my conjuration class on the website, it's all there, how to do all this stuff. So the script, the seals, the names, all that stuff is available. And then on Sunday you just do these 4 spirits with Michael and the Helios. So for the structure, just download the PDF that's on my site, and that should help. So yeah, I don't know. I hope it works out for you. Usually though, it's because all right, so one of the reasons that we're drawn to magic is because we want the results without having to suffer the consequences, right? And ultimately, you could be in a position where you could be killed if you tried to get yourself out of that situation. Those are the rough consequences that sometimes we have to accept in life, and it's either our early patriots here in America were like, "Give me liberty or give me death." They meant it. I don't think modern Americans mean it. We're like, "Get rid of Trump or I'll be mad. I'll say bad things on the internet. I'll accuse you of horrible crimes. I will. Don't make me accuse you of things." It's not give me liberty or give me death. That's for damn sure. But what's important to you in life, you're going to be willing to die for, and that's just how it is. And I can think of maybe 3 things I'd probably let myself be dead for, that I would actually accept that for. But I mean, I love life. Life is great. I don't want to die, and I think I would find a way to be happy. If I couldn't get out of situations, I would just do stuff to find a way to be happy with it. The Serenity Prayer is a great guide for this kind of thing. I didn't really understand it until I was about 50, and it's not about being a pathetic person who is passive about everything. It's like just recognizing that there's some things that are fate, and that suffering is just part of life sometimes, and it's not fair, and it's not just, and we shouldn't have to deal with it, and it's wrong, and it sucks, and sometimes life just sucks, and there's nothing you can do about it. I keep trying to get rid of all the pain and suffering in the world, but guess what? There's still pain and suffering. Does that mean I suck as a magician? Right? Is it my fault? You could be doing magic too. Why aren't you fucking fixing everything? It's not, why haven't you done anything? Because you can't. There's limits. There's a Saturn aspect to our existence. We can only do so much. You can't know everything. How many times have you done something and you hurt somebody and you didn't mean to? You had no idea it was going to hurt them. You didn't even think of them because you didn't even think of them. Who thinks of that stuff? Nobody who's actually hasn't been through it. Anybody who's been through it's going to think of it. You think about all the people you might hurt after you've hurt people before. You learn, from suffering. Suffering brings wisdom. That's Zeus has decreed that suffering brings wisdom. Says something. I think it's Hesiod says that. It's bullshit. It sucks, but that's just how it is. So try to find a way to enjoy it. Right? If you can't enjoy the person you're with, or if you're being abused all the time with that, find other place to be joyful. Find something else. Try to transform the person. If you can't get away from the person, try to make them better. Ask the solar powers to heat them and transform them. Let them go through the transformation process. If you want justice done, justice is Mars plus the sun. It's not. Chances are you don't really want justice. You probably want revenge, and that's different. If you just want them to be punished, people who are violent and abusive are not having a good life. They're very seldom as happy as they like to pretend, and they're usually acting out of hurt. And it doesn't mean it's okay to be that way, but it's just You could play on that. chances are they have big gaping wounds in their spheres from all the trauma they've been through, and you send spirits into those holes. You just ask them to make things worse or to make things better. You transform them with your spiritual powers. Now, it's not fun to do bad magic about people. It's gonna hurt and it's gonna fuck with your vibe, and it's not pleasant, but their vibe is already hurting you, so you gotta deal with that kind of stuff. It's not fun, and if you can't find a way to endure it and still find moments of joy, then you might as well just find ways to sabotage it and destroy it, or fight against it, or hurt it, or harm it, or fight. Mars is about fighting. You have to do what you have to do. If you can't find your serenity about something, if you can't accept that things are the way they are, then you have to do something. If you can't leave, then you have to fight. And if you can't fight, then you have to shut up and deal with it and accept it. And it sucks. It sucks. So those have been my experiences in life so far. I haven't found, there's things I do magic about to this day that don't work, right? I'll talk about that in a little bit. I have reasons. I think I know why that happens. I think we miss opportunities primarily. Like if you want so the spirits give you an opportunity to do something, right? So like, if you do magic to get a job or to get wealthy, and you get an opportunity to get a job, and it might be something you don't want to do, right? So you try to be more specific. You learn, and you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted, right? So if you do some like malefica to like harm someone, the spirits are going to give you an opportunity to harm them. Like directly. But if you're trying to have someone be harmed without going to jail for it, yet that doesn't help, so you don't do magic to harm someone. You do magic to have them be harmed without anyone getting caught for it, right? So not a jailable offense, right? So it's like, these are the things that you learn as you go along with this magic thing. It's not most of the reasons that you don't get what you want in magic is because you don't know what you're asking for. You don't understand it enough to ask for the right thing. Like people who want to get rich, they don't understand what being rich is, so they miss the opportunity. Like, who wants to be rich? Nobody wants to be rich, because being rich sucks. I mean, that's not true. Like, having money is great. Having wealth given to you, awesome, right? Like, just keep filling up my bank account. That'd be awesome. I wouldn't have to worry about anything. Just windfall after windfall, just keep it coming. I'll be fine. I can live like that. But you can't really, because you start forgetting things and you don't realize what you're doing, and you don't get anywhere because it's just, you're lost in the sauce. And it's just, it's funny how, at least for me, that's how it was. Without structure and order to it, there's no progress. There's no meaning to it. It doesn't bring you the joy that you think it's going to bring you. If you're poor and you want to get rich, do you want to be that? Do you want to be the poor person who got rich? Look at the rich people who used to be poor. Look at how they did it. Is that what you want to do? Do you want to become that person? Because that's how it works. That's what they did. That's what worked for them. Oh, well, I would do it differently. Well, guess what? People who do it differently don't end up with the money. It doesn't work that way. You can't plant a red apple seed and get, I don't know, a pumpkin. You know what I mean? It doesn't work that way. You can do magic on that seed all you want to, and it might grow up into an apple that looks strangely like a pumpkin. And when you look at it, for some reason, you think about pumpkins. And when you pull it off the tree, you're reminded of that apple pie, but for some reason, that pumpkin pie that you had the one Thanksgiving when you were a kid. That's how that magic will work, in my experience. It's not, you don't get a pumpkin from an apple seed. There's just limits to what we can experience. It's fate, it's Saturn. Saturn is death. It's the unavoidable end. There's some aspects of Saturn in life. Suffering sucks. it is what it is, right? Anyway, sorry, got me off on a tangent. Where were we? Yeah, but Claudia, you're not the only person. I have been through a lot of bullshit, right? And I agree. Let's see. Marius Balthazar. I am not interested in wealth so I can wipe my behind with $50 notes. I want to create wealth so I can improve the quality of my own life, as well as improve the quality of the lives of others. So this is a big deal for me, actually, because that's what I wanted too. And I wanted wealth, and I kept doing magic for wealth, and I kept getting money, and I wasn't able to get what I wanted out of it because I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to improve the quality of my own life. I didn't know how to improve the quality of the lives of others, because money doesn't improve lives. Okay, it lets you buy higher quality things, but is it the lack of quality things that make you unhappy? Now, is that why your life doesn't have quality? Is it the things in it that make it not quality? Is it they aren't good enough? Would having the more expensive version of it be better? No, not necessarily, but sometimes you need the money to even start. Like I have a wood turning thing I like to do, woodworking. I couldn't do any of that without the tools, right? So I needed money to start that and improve the quality of my experience, But I didn't have enough money to do it all, and I didn't get it all at once. I had to do it in parts, I had to improve the quality of my life slowly over time. Is that what you want to do? Is that what you really want to do? But you don't want to do that. You want to live the wealthy lifestyle, right? Am I wrong? I mean, it got me out of being homeless. Any idea? Oh, Julian. HGA hypnosis will not be out until probably like end of September, early October. My workload is kind of too busy for that. But yeah, it got me out of being homeless. Yeah, money does it. It's an immediate fix to things. But you're talking about the kind of generational wealth stuff that is going to be useful to other people. Like I'm trying to buy land, and just trying to buy land, you have to have X pile of money to put down on it plus a monthly payment. And for that you have to have an income. So for X you have to have Y, right? And for Y you have to have Z. And there's all these predecessors that you have to build. And when you're doing the magic for it, and that's what I've been doing for like years now. I've been doing magic for side income, for gig jobs, for opportunities. It builds up over time, and I've had so many things I've tried. I found what works for me, what I vibe with, my resonance, and I've been able to build that into kind of a big clunky machine that looks like Howl's Moving Castle. It's a bunch of moving parts, and the primary engine is my development, my skills as a software programmer. That I make more money doing that than anything else. But I've got all these other things going on that tide me over when I do contract work, and when I don't have a job, I have to pay the bills. So anyway, it's a process, and it's a complicated system. The system of money in the world is complicated. It's hard, and to use magic about it, you can't, you can ask the spirits to know everything for you, but you have to be willing to do everything they tell you to. It's like I said, it's like asking Chat GPT something, or an AI something, and it gives you a detailed list of stuff, and you skip down to the bottom if you're like me, and you just look at the bottom line. What's the bottom line? Just tell me what to do. You have to do that thing. And if you didn't read the parts that explain why you do it, you don't really know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And if you don't know what you're doing and why you're doing it, then you have to just do exactly the things, and it has to be right. So if you're going to use magic to get rich without knowing how money works, how to maintain wealth, how to do a budget, how to do all the bullshit stuff that comes along with wealth, if you don't know how to schmooze, if you don't know how to address people in a way that disarms them, makes them trust you, implies that they should respect you, and treat you as a superior whose affection they desire, right? If you don't know how to do that off the bat as a business person, you're not going to do as well as you're going to need to do. And it's a complicated system. It's hormonal, it's mental, it's emotional, it's physical. It's a game that you got to have skills. It's like chess. You got to be good at chess, right? To play good chess, you have to be good at making money. You have to be good at maintaining it. Are you all those things? I ain't. I am not all those things. I'm getting there a little bit at a time. But when I started doing money magic, I got all these opportunities to take financial classes. I didn't want to take financial classes. It took me 20 years to figure out that's what was going on. It's bullshit. In the hands of imbeciles, it causes so much harm. Everybody's imbeciles, dude. Yeah, everybody thinks it's not going to be them. But that's the thing, is if you were, and I'm not saying this to be mean to you, but if we were already the people who knew how money worked, it would be in the bank. Okay? I don't know enough about money, because I've been doing this long enough that if I understood how money worked, I would have plenty of it. And that's the thing. Thinking that magic is somehow going to bridge that gap for us, I think that's delusional. I mean, unless you learn something, you're not going to know it. And if you're not going to learn it, then you just have to have a list of things that you're going to do in order for it to work, because everything's a process. That's just how life is. It's not nothing comes from nothing. It's all a bunch of shit that we barely understand coming together in a split second to create this experience. Magic gives us a list of seven components that we can sort of vibe it all together into a moment. It gives us a little bit of influence over the things, a lot of influence. Powerful compared to other things. But it doesn't take the place of action. We're the fulcrum between the above and the below, and this is the value of these mystery tradition teachings. Is it turns you from a person who does magic for an event that doesn't work and you're mad about it and you don't understand why, to a person who knows what magic to do when it's the right time to do it. When the right time is. It's not just astrological timing. It's not knowing a planetary hour and a planetary day. It's knowing when is the time to do a Mars rite to change your situation versus when is the time to do a Saturn rite to change your situation. It's identifying what's going to get you really what you want. Do you want out of that relationship, or do you want it to be a better relationship? Is there anything you can do to make it better? Is there anything, is that person mean because they don't have something they need? Can you get it for them? Can you give the dog a bone so it's not biting you? These are the opportunities we have to look at. If you don't understand that you're the person living your life, I don't think your magic is going to make a bit of difference. That's why I include shadow work in my work, because I don't want to be sabotaging my experience. I believe I'm the manifestation of everything. I'm a part of that, and everything is a part of me in a holographic way. I believe I'm Zeus in this really egotistical, narcissistic way. So when I don't get what I want, I believe it's my fucking fault. All right? And I'm not talking about blaming the victim here. There's things beyond my control. I understand that. But what I'm saying is I think with enough forethought, information, and understanding, I will be able to address unforeseen situations in ways that bring me the results that I desire, regardless of my foreknowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like if I learn the right things, I'll be able to deal with situations as they come up. And that's what the magic provides for me, is the ability to deal with the situations as they come up. And that is what I think the focus of magic should be, and that's the value of these mystery traditions. But that's not. But what I really wanted to talk about today was how magic isn't the same thing for everybody, and how we all use the same language, but it's not the same thing. But at the same time, it's the same thing. There's the same thing that we're trying to get to, is this understanding that we want to have an experience, and the money is a means to have an experience, and the wife, like I was going to talk about Venus magic, as an example. Love magic is another big thing. People want to get laid. They want to have sex because there's a biological imperative. You must fuck hormonally, right? And then on top of that, there's social pressures, and there's emotional things. Your shadow work comes into play, where like you think that if you have a relationship, you will become a person that you think is a good person who was in a relationship. You think, if I have what they have, I will be that person, because you don't understand that they're the person. They have those things because of the person they are, right? We tend to think that if we have the trappings of what we want, then we will be the person having the fun, right? So like if I had the money, then I could be having as much fun as I think these wealthy people are having. Or I could do all these things that these wealthy people can do, whether they're doing it or not. They're morons, these idiots out there. I could do all those things if I had the money, right? But the thing is the people who have the money are the people who have the money because they're the kind of people that have the money to do that kind of thing. And when they have the money to do that kind of thing, they aren't interested in doing all that stuff that you want to do. Because to have the money, you can't be that kind of person. It's mutually exclusive. And the more you want to be the kind of person that is taking care of other people, the less interest you're going to have in being the kind of person that makes money. That's just what I've seen. Money isn't good. It doesn't help people the way you think it does. It doesn't. It comes with too big of a cost. Social services, if you've ever been on social services, you said you were homeless, right? How hard is it to get fucking food stamps? My God. And that was when things were good. When things were good and we had food stamps to get. How hard was it? How many hoops did we have to jump through? I don't know if you were there in the 90s for that shit. It was awful, coming out of Reagan era. Anyway. Interesting stuff. When you're the kind of person, this goes back to the know yourself thing. When you're vibing things into being, when you're doing the great work that Agrippa describes here, whosoever therefore shall know themselves, shall know all things in themselves. That's what I'm talking about when I say it's almost like victim blaming. When I say that it's me that I have to address. I have to be the person that gets the things that I want. You know what I mean? I have to maintain that. It's not, I'm going to sit here and do my magic and everything's going to fall into place. It is that. That's literally it. But your part of that has to fall into place. You have to fall into the place of the businessman who doesn't help other people because they're saving their own money. All right? The problem is that you're already helping people. You're already giving your energy away to other people. You're helping people because you have a heart for that, and you're helping them with where you're at. You need to rise up. You need to be up higher and have more resources to provide. But you're going to be still living the same quality of life you have because you are going to maintain the lifestyle you have. Like, the more money I make, the more money I spend because I have more stuff, because I give away my shit. I give my shit away to other people to have things in my life so that I can help people do things that I think are important. It's a sickness. I'm making more money than I ever have, and I have less money in the bank to show for it because I keep spending it on helping other people. How about that? It's stupid, man. I don't know how to put it. I'm not even mad about it, It's just, it's not what you think. It's not what you think, You bring with you everything that you are, so that's why you focus on yourself. You bring into your life what you are. And if you want to have that money, you have to save all your fucking money and not spend it on shit. You want the energy to devote to making money, you need to take your energy back from all the people you give it to. If you want to have the drive and focus to achieve what you want, you have to stop being emotional about all the other bullshit. because your other emotions are coming from somewhere. And that's what's distracting you. You want to stop being ADHD about stuff? You have to do all the fucking OCD coping mechanism bullshit. You know, if your brain doesn't work like the rest of the people's brains, you have to dope it into place, or cognitive behavior it into place. You have to live a strict lifestyle to maintain and physically suppress your body and do all that shit. I ain't doing all that. Fuck that, man. That's a lot of effort. I respect people who are into that, you know? But I ain't doing that. It's just how it is, because I don't want to be that. Fucks up my vibe, you know? I'm a Taurus. I'm here to have a good time. I'm here to have a good time. All right? And I see all these people trying to get theirs, and it fucks up everybody else. You know? So when I come to magic, what I came to magic for was power. All right? I was the nerd. I really was. I was a little nerdy nerd. And I had no power. And I wanted the girls. Because I had a big lust. Great big lust. Goes all the way down to the ground, out the door. You know? Still do. It's satirical. It's a drive to create. It's not just sexual. It's in my writing. It's in my art. Right? All the things I wanted money for, that I thought I had to have money for, I didn't have to have money for. I didn't. I wanted to talk about that today too, about how you don't need the money to get the things you want when you're a magician. You do the magic for what you want. You want to help people? Do magic to help people. Right now. Bam. Bless them. Bless the fuck out of them. You're a magician, right? Use that shit. You know? But you want to be in control of the money. Right? Why do you need to be in control of the money? You don't have to be in control of the money. You know? It's not you. It's not about you if it's about them. Let it be about them. Bless the fuck out of them. But if it's not that, then don't, you know? Do it for you. But that's the thing, is vibe honestly. The thing about all this shadow work is it reveals to you that you can be powerful if you want to be. You know, and it shows you how to do it if you're willing to make that sacrifice. If that's what you want to be, if that's what you want to do with your time on Earth, that's your choice. But you have to do it, you know? You can't just complain about it. And it sucks. And you're not guaranteed to win. You're not guaranteed to succeed. You know, sometimes you can do everything right and still not win. It's just sometimes things are stacked against you. You know, can you be okay with that? Some days. Anyway. Yeah, all right, I'm sorry, Marius. I'm reading what you're saying. I understand. Yeah. It is different. I'm an American. I was raised in a completely different way. Anyway, I was thinking about a lot of these things. I'm glad that you brought it up because I got to air out some stuff on my chest. So anyway, true wealth, I think, honestly, is not about, and this is what I really wanted to talk about today, was authentic vibing, right? Authentically vibing your true purpose is always going to get you what you really want. Okay, and I really do believe that in the most revolutionary ways, okay, in the most life-changing ways, in the most pure ways, like the most ideal ways, you know, and I'd really, it's a passion for me to be true to myself because I was not allowed to when I was a kid. It boils down to it. I'm a rebel and I'm angry because I wanted to do things and I was told no, and it was stupid reasons not to. And nothing I wanted to do was wrong. I was told I couldn't do good things that are okay to do for stupid reasons, and I resent that, okay? And it formed a bunch of shit, and I had to fucking deal with that. I still have to deal with it. But I found a way to get what I want anyway, and it's by letting go of all that, right? And working with the spheres and all that shit to purify it. And focusing on creating what I really want. Doing the magic for what I really want. If you want a new minivan, do the magic for the minivan, not for the money for the minivan. right? You don't want the money for the minivan. You just think that that's what you need to do. If you want money, you have to do magic for a job, and you have to do money for your skills and all that shit, right? You have to do money for what you want, if that's what you want. I mean, magic. You have to do magic for what you want. But you have to be the person that gets what you want, right? It's not just the world around you, and you get to stay who you are. You know, who you are doesn't have the money. You have to change, and you have to let the magic change you. You know, that's just how it works. And self-transformation it's an art form, you know, but the occult gives us the keys to do that. I think that when you get into the occult, what happens is you reveal more of yourself, and you become more and more of yourself, and you're more true to yourself, and you are able to vibe things into being that are more pleasant in your experiences. Jupiter is the sphere of joy, and that Orphic hymn says you get health, and you need health to enjoy your life, and necessary wealth. Once you start enjoying your life, you get the wealth that you need. Focus on joy, and you find the wealth to support it. You know, I don't know how to explain that in a way that isn't stupid, okay? But it boils down to not worrying about the money. Not doing money for financial stuff, but doing money for opportunities, situations, right? I did a magic to become an AI prompt engineer making $300,000 a year, and now I'm getting the situations are manifesting for me, and I had to learn shit, and I had to suffer, and I didn't like it. I had to change who I was to become somebody who's capable of making that money, and it sucks. I don't particularly like it. You know, honestly, there's parts of it that I don't like. I'm not doing major parts of it because I don't want to do some aspects of it, right? Like, I have to do what I really want to do, I need to make an app. And I need to make it for corporations, and I need to sell it to corporations. So I need to have a corporation app selling website that I have to attract corporation app buying people to by spending time developing big flags to wave in front of their stupid little faces to say, look, there's a new person that can sell you stuff for a lot of money, right? All this crap that I'd have to do, you know? And I don't want to live like that. Okay? Think of it like the power washer, right? If you want to make $1,500 a week, right now you can buy a power washer, a gas-powered power washer, and over the course of a summer, you can make enough business to make over $1,000 a week in places like Ohio, out in these small towns in Ohio, power washing people's stuff for like $100. You know, it adds up fast, and everybody needs it. Okay, but it's a lot of fucking work. You have to have a truck or a car. You have to be able to drive around these places. You have to do advertising. You have to put out papers on windshields. You have to go to places and put up signs and crosswalks. You have to have money to invest in that. You know, you have to work 3 jobs sometimes to get the money to invest in that kind of stuff. I used to be a pizza delivery driver. I worked a day job, and on the weekends I would sell shit on the internet. Right? I had 3 revenue streams that were taking up 40, 60 hours a week. You know, it was a lot of work, but it paid off in the long run. You know, covered my rent recently in a very expensive state in a very nice way. Anyway, that's really all I got today. All I can say for sure is all of this seems to be related to me. It's not about, I don't know. It's not about, there is magic out there that's just about magic, right? That's just about using magic to do tricks on people, basically. That's what most of it is. You know, you can do that, and that's fine. Okay. Magic as a religion, though, is not, or at least as a method to attain the aims of religion, what religion is trying to fill. I think getting back to really quickly why we want wealth is for happiness and for joy and for the things that wealth represents, the things we think we'll be able to do. But we can do those things without it. So once you realize that, the magic that you do changes and you find yourself having all the things you want. You know, when you start doing magic for a quality life, you start getting quality opportunities. Okay, I've got a friend who's doing some amazing stuff. You know, I can't wait to see what he does with it. And it's all based on magic, right? He did some magic and then he disappeared for months and came back with an incredible opportunity and an amazing story. Yeah, it's brilliant. Okay, myself, I've had so many experiences. You know, just today I had a whole morning. My morning was transformational. You know, it's I've shed blood, and I've shed blood today on things. It's just, life has been dramatically different for me since I've started doing the actual transformational magic, and I'm just happier and more satisfied and more effective at actually getting what I want because I stopped going after the money and the other things and started becoming the person who had those things. Okay, and changing that or rearranging that focus for me was super effective. I'm not saying it has to be that way for everybody, and I'm not saying that everybody has to do what I do. All right, I'm not saying it's for everybody, and you have to focus on the great work to be a good magician or an effective magician. Okay, I know people who are complete shitheads who do magic and get stuff, stupid stuff, dumb stuff that makes their lives worse. Okay, I'm talking about one particular person in particular right now out loud. I'm not going to say because I don't want to start drama. But I know really powerful magicians who are really good at getting what they want, and they use it for stupid stuff over and over again. And they're living the same life they were living 13 years ago. The same level of quality, the same quality vehicles, same quality house, same everything. You know, nothing to show for it. Same level of drama in their life with enemies. For what? What has their magic given them? Not a goddamn thing. Same exact exasperations, frustrations about the same exact things. Not even new problems after 13 years. My problems are completely different today than they ever have been. You know, my concerns are completely new in my life, and my problems that I used to have stopped repeating themselves over and over again, from my relationships to my jobs experiences to my online experiences. Every part of my life has transformed over the last 5 or 6 years since I quit drinking. I started getting serious about this stuff, and I started looking at what I was doing versus what I was hearing from the spirits and doing the magic to fix things. And it's changed everything. And it's made it all better. Okay, and I'm watching the world go to hell around us. And it's like, it's almost like I feel like we're in the Kali Yuga, but we've been given the power to create little pockets of joy, little pockets of resistance, little pockets of foundation. You know, out of dark times comes heroes. You know, you can't slay a dragon if there's no dragon to slay. Okay, it sucks that we have greedy tyrants. But guess what happens when the darkness becomes very dark? The light will shine all the brighter for those who are willing to shine it. You know, magic gives us the way to shine light in ways that other people can't. It gives us that power to influence things without being caught. Okay, the sphere of the moon, Yesod, is the foundation of all the other spheres through which we experience everything, through visions and images, right? within the physical world, we get to look at things. Some people say that we never experience magic beyond the astral, because beyond that visualization phase where the outermost aspects of things are applied according to the chain of manifestation, there's nothing to see, right? Like, what does it look like? Courage. What does it look like? Hope. You know, it's like, how do you express that? It's different. So anyway, I'm going to wrap things up. I got to get back to some other stuff. Do you not answer online store questions here? Is there a better place? I'll answer online store questions. I'm sorry. I was reading what Marius was saying. I was off on a tangent there. Where can I inquire about your online store products? I would order the Conjure box right now if I knew it would arrive to South Florida within 14 days using... Oh, yeah, I can... Oh, I'm sorry, Julian. I can get that out to you. Do I have one right now? I have one right now that I need to fix. Okay, the center hole was not centered when I drilled it, and it's off by a little bit, but I know how to fix it. I'm going to drill a bigger hole and replace that with a piece of wood that's the same size with some glue and some willpower. If you're willing to accept that one, I could probably get it out to you realistically like Wednesday, and if I shipped it really fast, I could probably get it to you within 4 days, 5 days. So yeah, I think I could do 2 weeks. I might charge you extra for shipping. Yeah, we can work on something. Let's see. Yes. Sorry, I didn't see that. That's why I just got excited. Earlier today, my dog pulled me off my feet. I fell. I flew through the air. My dog is the fastest dog in the world, it turns out. She is the most amazing puppy in the world. And she just very excitedly, she gets excited and does zoomies, and she runs around in circles. She took off running in a straight line today, and I didn't realize she wasn't going to turn until too late. And she reached the end of her cord, and I was holding on, and I just went with her. It was a very exciting moment, I must say. For I haven't flown. I've never flown before, but now I have flown, and somehow we survived. Never mind the little bloody mark on my hand. But yeah, it was anyway, in a similar way, I was reminded immediately of what happens as a person who struggles with bipolar issues. My emotions get a hold of me and drag me off of my feet down paths that end up giving me scuff marks along the way. It's a perfect metaphor for things, and my little puppy is exactly like the nefesh side of me that can be easily distracted. But anyway, today I got off on a tangent a few times. I really had like a whole outline written of things I wanted to talk about, but I think I said everything on my list. I think I managed to say, I didn't mention form versus... okay, so we were talking earlier about how you become the person that manifests money, right? Or you become the person that manifests a good relationship by being a good lover, that kind of thing. You change yourself and you change the world you experience, because the kind of person that you've become doesn't put up with that crap anymore, doesn't make the choices that lead to that stuff anymore. You work on yourself and you change the world experienced, right? It's a method. I'm not saying that's what all magic is about. I'm not saying that it's all in your head. I'm saying that one aspect of magic is that you can work on this other shit, there's other parts of yourself that there's really effective to change other things, right? Changing your shadow self stops you from sabotaging yourself with your fireballs. That's the power, right? So like, if I'd understood my dog was going to go straight, if I'd suffered enough, like today's suffering brought me wisdom. When my dog runs straight at full speed, I'm going to know that I need to start running with her until she calms down a little bit, or else I'm going to learn how to fly again. Or just keep her under control in the first place, right? With emotions, it's exactly the same way. Once they start running along, I need to either run with them and keep up, right, with my intellect and my body. Those three things have to be in harmony: your heart, your mind, and your flesh, right? If those three things aren't together, you're fucked. Like, about everything, but especially if you have like mental illness issues. But that's another major benefit of the daily mantra and the meditation stuff that I do, is it lets me disassociate enough to get that stuff a little more cohesive. Anyway, the plastic wrench. So if you've ever seen like plastic that's been chromed, you know, like even as a kid, I used to have a plastic wrench. It was one of those little spinny things where you twist the thing and it was adjustable. I had a wrench that was an adjustable wrench. It was plastic and it worked on this plastic toy set of stuff I had, you know. And one day I took it to a real bolt and I twisted it real tight against it and I twisted it as hard as it could, and it broke the fucking little hard plastic thing against the hard steel because it looked like a real wrench, but it wasn't a real wrench, right? It wasn't made of the stuff that it had to be to take that bolt off. It was made of a flimsy form of a fake version of it. Okay, so when you try to become a wealthy person by having more money, that's the form of a wealthy person, but it's not becoming a wealthy person. You're not changing the wrench into a real wrench. You're gonna have the form of a wealthy person, but when you go up to change the bolt on that car, all your money is going to disappear. As soon as you turn that handle, it's going to, there's not going to be any money left because you're not made of the stuff that's necessary to give you the strength to turn that bolt with that tool that you have. You don't understand the power of it. And if you had the strength to turn that, if you were the person to do that, you'd already have that money coming into your life. Because when you're ready to turn the handle of a real wrench, you get the real wrench and the real opportunity to use it. You know, right now you're at a point where you're like, if I had the form of the wrench, I'd be able to turn it. I'd be able to change the world. And it's not that. You know, if you were the kind of person that could change the world, you'd have the money to do it. You know, and that's the cold hard truth about this bullshit that we do. You know, we dance around it and we dance around it because it's easier than admitting that we're the source of most of our problems. You know, we choose to do things and we agree to these levels of commitment that we don't have to deal with. You know, we all have an option to leave. You know, there's always a way out. It's not the best option for everybody, ever. You know, it's not. But there's always a way out for things. It's just a life. You know? It's not worth suffering for. It really isn't. I mean, you get wisdom from suffering, but there's no point in being completely miserable the whole time. You know, one thing I've learned about things is it either matters in a big cosmic sense or it doesn't. You know, and if it matters, then you might as well do it the best you can and enjoy the fuck out of it. And if it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. You might as well have a good time. You know what I'm saying? There's not a lot of reason not to have a pleasant experience. And if you can't find a way to be pleasant in your experience, find another experience to be pleasant with. You know, that's just, I'm very practical about that kind of thing, you know. Anyway, have a great afternoon, good weekend. Keep doing the work. Do the work because it's fun, you know, not because you're a bad person, but because you're a good person inside, right? You're a much better quality person inside than you think, right? It's just, but you don't have the opportunities to do that until you do magic to get what you want. So do the big magic, man. If you want a lot of money, do the fucking big ass magic. Lots of Jupiter, lots of Venus, put it together with the sun. Okay, put together a three-way rite that takes the best of all the spheres and weaves it together. If you want some help, I'll even help you design it. You know, just a total bless the fuck out of me, like right. I have a prosperous right thing. You go up through the 7 spheres, you release everything that stands between you and your prosperity, and then on the 15th day, on the Monday of the waxing moon, you call on all the spirits of every sphere to manifest what you want. That's the process, right? It's a great ritual. It changes lives, changes everything about your life if you want it to. Right? It doesn't help everybody. Like, there's a lot of people that have done it that didn't get exactly the same kind of results immediately, right? But I've seen transformations in their lives that they didn't expect, which is where all this stuff is coming from. I'm not talking about just me. I'm talking about other people who have done this work and have done the transformation stuff, and they've seen it change who they were in a fundamental way that revealed more about themselves that was already there, that was more purely themselves, that let them be more strongly that part of themselves that they already wanted to be. You know, in terms of their sex life, in terms of their jobs, in terms of their parental relationships. As you do the work, you become more yourself. And as you do that, your life changes and you get a much better life. All the things that you think you want these other things for, they're just there. That's what the power of magic is to me. That's what this mystery tradition points to, is how when you are the right thing, when you do all this shit that this fucking thing here, where is it? Boldy. This thing, this little quote here, when you start to study yourself and who you are and where you're coming from and why you want what you think you want, if you take it back to what it really represents, what do you really want? You want an experience. What experience do you want? Why do you want it? Who are you? What is it about you that wants that? Once you understand all that shit, and you clean all that out, you become this person that's able to get all these things that you think you want now. You know, if you don't understand why you're not broke, if you don't understand why you're not out of a relationship that's hurting you, figure it out. Figure it out. The magic says you have the power to change things. You know, see if there's some part of you that is still attached to it. See if there's some part of you that's still manifesting it. What is it that you need to be that you're not? Start with your natal chart. Your natal chart's going to tell you a lot.